My most expensive and rarest games ever. Hey, it's Derek. I'm Derek talking to you. I've been collecting video games now for a couple of decades. You know, I think you can tell a lot about somebody by looking at their game collection. For example, you can look at my game collection and see that I'm very cheap. I've got a handful of very rare games, but I only bought them on a budget because, you know, I'm a game collector. Really, second, I'm a bargain hunter first. Listen, if I wanted to sit here and show you all like my greatest games and stuff, I could, but it's not to just be like, hey, look how rich I am, because I'm not. Big bottles up in here. Bottle of time, choo-choo rocket, Game Boy Advance. But it's more just like, hey, there are ways you can go about getting rare games and expensive games if you know how to look for them, if you like the thrill of the hunt, and that's kind of what I've been about for, man, I guess like the 20 or so years I've been really seriously game collecting. Also, I'm not super into like completionist collecting. I just want to always collect the games that like I find interesting. I'm also not super interested in how much my collection is actually worth. So I was going through my collection thinking about my most expensive games, and I actually had to ask Twitter, like, hey, where do you guys go to price your games? And so I went, Grace, where we go again?
Price charting.
I went to price charting. So according to pricecharting.com, these are my most expensive games. Oh, for the record, expensive games, rare games, don't always mean the best games, and we'll cover that here. Okay, first up, Spider-Man and the Web of Fire for the Sega 32X. This is a gem of a game that I don't actually have a 32X. I've never actually played this game. I played it on emulation, and it seems fine. I don't know what the 32X is all about. It's some cool like lighting effects and stuff in there. Also, the title screen shows Spider-Man swinging away from a burning building. It's called Web of Fire. Did he light that building on fire? That's why he's swinging away from it. Who will prevail, the net or the web? Who is the net? I don't know, but I own it because it is a stupid rare game and I found it for crazy cheap. You want to try and go to places like pawn shops or thrift stores or comic book shops, places that sell video games but kind of price them all like the same. I found this at a comic book shop. They didn't know what they had. They just saw 32X and went, oh, all right, $10. And this is complete. I've got the instruction book in here. I got the receipt. I had to say the receipt. Basically what happened was, you know, I was at a mall, a comic book shop, nothing but like high school kids working the weekend, do a minimum wage. I felt like when I bought this that I took that kid's paycheck because, you know, you're at a mall, you're working a couple hours a week, minimum wage, you're not making much. We've all been there. Yeah, I took his paycheck. I felt really, really bad about it. I never saw myself ever actually owning a game like this because this is one of those games where it's like 8 copies were made. Came out 1995.
It was 1996.
96? Oh, it says 95 on the back.
Oh.
Producer Grace is telling me 96. The back says 95. So maybe Wikipedia is wrong. Well, who cares? It came out after the PlayStation and the Saturn, so it eked out right at the end. I think there's like 8 copies, you know, that were made. That's like a once in a blue moon kind of thing. You don't get it every single time, but you gotta be okay with that. That's how you find these crazy deals. The deals are out there. If you want to get this stuff, yeah, pull out your credit card. Otherwise, like, be cool with just seeing what comes in the net. And sometimes you get crazy stuff like Spider-Man for 32X. Number 4. I was surprised this was number 4 and not number 1. Panzer Dragoon Saga. What can you say about this game? It's considered probably the best Saturn game and one of the greatest games ever made, and there is a ridiculous story around this. This was meant to be like the Final Fantasy VII killer for the Saturn. It was made internally by a team inside Sega that was dissolved immediately after it was finished. It was an extremely hard and tiresome development. The director claims that 2 people died working on this game. It is very different from the other Panzer Dragoon games. It is not a linear-based railgun game, though you still operate and move around the world on the Dragon like that. And also, Saturn emulation is a problem. This game doesn't emulate very well, and the source code.
It's more that it's hard for anyone to do a commercial re-release of it because just pure emulating on a commercial scale for Saturn games.
Yeah.
It's not something anyone's really done before, or it's worth doing.
But it's weird you hear about like Saturn emulation and stuff, but then Panzer Dragoon Orta had a working copy of Panzer Dragoon 1. Some of those bigger questions about game preservation I actually don't know the full scope of it. And also the source code for this is apparently lost. Really tragic thing all around. And I kind of feel like almost like survivor's remorse because I haven't played this all the way through. I've only played it a bit. like for videos and stuff like that. So I feel awful like having this copy and like not ever really playing it because I think 20,000 copies, Grace?
Yeah.
Only 20,000 copies of this were made. Here is a alternative for people that collect games. Like that is a stupid expensive game. It was bought when it was brand new. However, you can save yourself several $100s and get the import version. I actually bought this in Japan in 2003. I still have the sticker on there for 1,480 yen, so about 15 bucks. If you really want to play this game, you really want to have a physical copy, I recommend you get the import version. A lot of stuff that came out on the Saturn, like another game that's real super rare is Magical Knight Rareth. Getting the import version is so much cheaper because that game wasn't rare in Japan. So that is my advice to you. 15 bucks, you won't quite get that on eBay now, but you're not gonna have to, you know, take out a bank loan. Number 3 is number 5. Mega Man 5. This, and I'm holding it like this to let you know, is a factory sealed Mega Man 5 complete. Still with, I got the little tag thing here. As far as I'm concerned, like Mega Man 5 is not my favorite Mega Man by a pretty wide margin. Here's how I feel. I think Mega Man's 1, 2, and 3. Those are the best of the 6 NES games. And I think then like 5 is probably the best one of the last 3. But listen, kind of like, you know, everyone's got their own opinion. Here's the thing about Mega Man. There are only legit, like maybe 5 to 10 good Mega Man games. And what those 5 to 10 are different for everybody. Mega Man 5 is where they finally got the look of Mega Man down. I love Mega Man's 1, 2, and 3, but the box arts for all of them is garbage. Mega Man 4 was getting there, but I feel like Mega Man 5 is just finally, they got it right. But everyone's got their different opinions. We all love Mega Man, so it's fine.
Is soccer in your top 5? Where does soccer place in
That's
your top 5?
that's top 0 because it's above 1. So why I have this game? Well, back in the summer of like 2005, I think, and maybe earlier, but DVD was coming out, man. VHS was done, and shouts to the old Video City in Anchorage, Alaska. They had their big summer liquidation, like, we're getting rid of all of our VHS tapes to make room for DVDs, and getting rid of everything. Also, we're getting rid of all of our old games. That's how I actually got a lot of, like, a handful of N64 games that I own that have a bunch of gunk and stickers on them because I got them from an old rental shop. Anyway, I live near this place, and all summer they were doing this big blowout, and I remember I missed the first day. I really wanted to go, like, get up early, go to there, and get crazy VHS tapes, and I missed it. And I was like, oh, well, I should still go one of these days. I drove past this place all summer, like for months. It was like, it must have been July or August by the time I was like, I need to go to Video City and finally see if they have any games there. And I swear to you, I go there, and at the end of, and on an end cap, they have like literally like 20 games. It's like sports game, Fantasy Mega Man 5, sports game. What? Just sitting here for months. For months, Anchorage, Alaska was sitting on a box copy, factory sealed Mega Man 5, just sitting there. I couldn't believe it. It shouldn't have happened. And I walked up to the checkout. Some girl's like on her phone or something like that, or doing a crossword. Couldn't care less. And she just was like, "Hey, how much is this?" She goes, "Huh? Oh, a game? $5." And I just like almost just like my knees gave way. Like it's been moved around a little bit. But it's still in like fantastic condition, and I guess if I ever needed some emergency bail money, I could sell it. I remember when I got this copy, I had a loose copy of Mega Man 5, and a friend of mine, he did not have Mega Man 5, and he wanted to get the whole collection, so I ended up selling my copy of Mega Man 5 to him, I think for like 10 bucks, just as a joke, so I could like make money on the whole thing. So if I ever want to play Mega Man 5, I have to play like on PS2 or emulation or something like that, but it's okay. That's not the only sealed Mega Man game that I have, actually. I have a Mega Man 9. This is the press kit. It is factory sealed. I went to PAX and I got Takuya Aizu of Inti Creates, who was the producer of Mega Man 9, to sign this. And even he was like, whoa, I've never seen one of these that's been still sealed. This actually was a extremely generous donation from a fan, and that's why I've kept it in this little box here. To keep it as pristine as possible. It was extremely nice. I actually looked on eBay, and these are not as rare and expensive. For Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10 both got these press kits. They're not quite as rare and expensive as I thought they were going to be. I do believe that, you know, this is maybe a little more, but to me, I feel like this is maybe worth more to me personally. This is like a top 5 Mega Man for me. Okay, can they see it, Grace?
It's factory sealed. The cost of factory sealed is it does not photograph.
Yeah, we got these lights up here. This is S tier Mega Man. this game is still like fantastic, except that Wily battle at the end is too hard. Too hard, that Wily battle at the end. Other than that though, can you believe it? Those are not my most expensive and rare games. Jesus. Number 2, my most expensive and rare game is
always on the set.
Earthbound. You really want to spend a ton of money on a game to own it physical. This is a game that is worth it. I don't know if I can say anything more than I haven't already said. This is one of the greatest games ever made. For me, it's just wild that like in my lifetime, in like I guess my career as a YouTuber, I've seen this game go from a game that felt like me and 8 other people liked, and it feeling like it was the most underrated game ever, to being like the most overrated. Everyone knows Earthbound now. I said once in a video, the words criminally underrated do not begin to describe this game, and like that is not true anymore. That's really all I have to say about the game. I guess I should explain like how did I get the damn thing. Well, I got into collecting basically in like middle of high school, because that was when you could go into a thrift store and you were just tripping over NES games. NES games and Super Nintendo games and Genesis games, like they just couldn't get rid of them fast enough. Like for a while there was a Kmart in Anchorage, Alaska that had NES games. You could go to a GameStop or a Babbage's at the time and get NES games. It was not difficult to get them. And so that's kind of how I got into collecting, is it was actually, for a time, it was cheap. For Earthbound though, I went to the good old Microplay video games on Benson. I actually ended up working there. Oh, and that's part of the story. I'm getting ahead of myself. After seeing The Phantom Menace, we went to the Microplay afterwards, me and my dad, and they had Final Fantasy II, which is the game I actually grew up playing, but we never actually owned it ourselves. I saw they had a copy of it, and I was like, oh, $50, that's a lot. I'll, mow some lawns or rake some leaves or something like that, get my allowance up, and then I'll come back and I'll buy Final Fantasy II. And I did. Came back a week later, and I was like, I'll have that copy of Earthbound. Shh. Oh God. And they had Earthbound there too. They didn't have it last week, they had it the next week or the next month or however long it was. Oh my God. I'll buy Final Fantasy II, but can you hold that Earthbound? And then I don't know, shovel some driveways. I don't know what I did. I got some money, and then I bought Earthbound, and I had just a single case, just a solo loose case, but it worked. $50, I had it. And then fast forward to a couple years later, when I'm working at that very Microplay video games, and they have in the back on a stack of old strategy guides, they have it there. And so with my employee discount, I bought this for, I think like $10, $20. Here's the crazy thing. So I bought this for $10, $20, maybe less. I have another strategy guide for this that actually ended up selling for a couple of bucks because I didn't need it. I went to a thrift store one time and they had video game guides all in the magazine section, and magazines were all like 75 cents a piece or something like that. And I remember just picking out so many strategy guides, and among them was a Earthbound strategy guide. I was like, how much are these? And the woman was like, huh? Oh yeah, 75 cents a piece. So it's like, I don't know, $7. So I got that, and then I sold it for way more than that. I just want to give a shout out to, I saved the address, but really I saved the name. I want to shout out to, I'll say Jeremy H. donated the box to me. He liked the video that I made, and then some years later, donated this box to me. And to show my appreciation, I kept the address. I don't want to put him on blast, but like, so it took me about, I guess, 10 to 13 or so years to get a complete Earthbound. Here's the thing about Earthbound. It's actually not a rare game. They actually made several 100,000 of these. They just didn't sell very well. There's pictures out there of Earthbounds in just bins for like a nickel. Buy them by the scoop, just get them out of here. But it's actually not a rare game, it's just highly sought after. Be wary of stuff like that. Earthbound's an extreme example, but I would say a less extreme example of like, I've been to game conventions and seen Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, and people are asking like $80 for it. Super Mario World is, I believe, factually by a wide margin, the most common Super Nintendo game. It's not rare, it's highly sought after. However, hold out for a better deal. Or for example like this, like, I mean, it's on Virtual Console, you can emulate it, you know, like, we're never gonna get Mother 3. The best way to play that game is with the fan translation and stuff like that, you know, so it really depends on if you want to spend a ton of money though. There are a lot of games you can put several $100, near $1,000 into. Make it a good one, and I think Earthbound is absolutely one of the greatest games ever made. This game stinks. Jeremy, what did you do? And last on this list, just to give you an idea of like, I don't pay that close attention to prices of things. I have a couple of Sega CD games that I thought for sure, I have one in particular that I thought for sure was my most rare and expensive one. I thought Snatcher was going to be the most rare and expensive game that I owned. I thought for sure all the working designs stuff would be the rarest, but nope. It was this little doozy, KO Flying Squadron. How the hell did I get a hold of this game? Well, when a console generation's also winding down, game shops gotta get rid of their inventory. They want to get rid of old stuff. They don't care. That's how I got a lot of Dreamcast games, and that's how I got most of my Sega CD collection. I bought all my Sega CD stuff, I think in like 95 or 96, because it was super cheap. I think I got this at the Microplay, maybe 20 bucks. Maybe, I don't think anything more than that. I knew that it was kind of a rare game, and it was an interesting one because it had anime on it. I remember thinking that the anime cutscenes, it's like one of the first games I ever saw that here's how it used to be, man. In the 90s, anime was a weird, different, new thing. You'd go to video shops, you'd see stickers on My Neighbor Totoro that said, "This is an okay film for children." I used to have my dad rent Bubblegum Crisis for me. Like, it wasn't that bad. It was barely R-rated. Bubblegum Crisis, Faces of Death. You know, you had to have your parents, you had to have ID. I remember playing this game and actually showing it to my friends, being like, "Look, it's like cartoons and they're talking," and she calls her dragon Spot, and Spot falls asleep and she's like, "Get up, Spot!"
Are you still sleeping? Wake up! Yeah.
It was so brand new and crazy, so I remember really liking it at the time, but I don't recall much more other than being kind of like a Proteus style shooter. It's goofy, it's irreverent and silly, but I don't recall it being like great. You know, like Snatcher is a freaking masterpiece, an absolutely amazing game. I don't know if I'd call this one amazing, but it is apparently, man, the rarest game that I own. I have it complete. It's not in the super greatest of shape, so maybe by some measure it is not actually the most expensive game that I own. There's a point when stuff becomes old but not retro, right? It's just old junk no one cares about yet. And I would say, like, even right now, hey, if you want to go like in 2019, Game Stops still have Wii and Wii U and 3DS games. If you want to scoop up Wii U and 3DS and lots of PS3 and lots of 360 games, they're there and they're cheap. So you missed out on the Sega CD, that sucks. But hey, you can still get some crazy Wii U games. See if you can get yourself a copy of Funky Barn for a nickel. So that'll do it for this one. I guess if you wanted to see more videos like this is something kind of new for the channel. Don't worry, like if we do more of these videos, the normal stuff is not ever gonna stop. This right here, this is not even nearly my entire collection. I got some stuff in a closet over there. I got a ton of crap in storage too that still has not made it down here to Seattle. Friends, hey, I got so much crap. I got so much crap. Oh, factory sealed Greg Hastings Tournament Paintball Max. I got some dumb stuff too, if you know what I'm saying. Uncle Derek, hold you down. Also, I keep KO Flying Squadron and Greg Hastings next to me at all times. Who you know got the Body Harvest strategy guide? Uncle Derek got it. How the hell did I get the Half-Life Dreamcast strategy guide? I don't know, but I did. Oh, but Derek, he ain't dumb. He ain't got 2 copies, different Onimushas. He ain't an idiot who somehow got 2 Resident Evil 3 strategy guides because he's a dummy. Get out of here. Or come back and hang out, because your friend Derek is stupid. We are a Patreon supported channel. This video was not supported by our patrons because it's something kind of different that we do, so we didn't feel proper charging the patrons. This is free for everybody. We also have some t-shirts and pins. At the time of this video right now, they are still currently 50% off, so check that out. Link is below. And I think it's gonna do it for now. Everyone, stay powerful, and we'll see you next time.